more for you, you feel it. You know it. This is your life, and it's time to go from contender to champion. This is The Show. John Madsen.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. I'm your host, John Madsen. This is The Show. Got a good episode for you guys today. Super excited to bring this one to you. Thank you again for all of your support. I appreciate all your direct messages. I appreciate all of the private messages. If you want to reach out to me, do so on Facebook and Instagram. I will definitely get back to you. Today's show, I'm going to talk about the one thing that holds so many people back. So many people back. And what to do about it instead. The thing that you want to do that lies right outside your comfort zone is only attainable if you take action. And taking action is the one thing that people do not do. Because when they feel doubt, when they feel insecurity, when they worry about the outcome, when they feel fear, they're frozen in time. And when you're frozen, you can't move forward. So here's what I'm going to talk about today, because you guys already know the context of most of this show. I deal with people who are trying to break free and realize their ultimate body in the form of fitness. What I do is transform bodies from the inside out, but that outward appearance I like to start with to break through limiting beliefs. But it applies across all different avenues. This can apply to your business. This applies to your relationship. I always say that because the principles are the same. When I talk to somebody who's struggling, whether they want to make more money, whether they're stuck in their business, or if I think about my life and when I've been stuck and when I can't get out of my own way. Because on some level, I know that you're listening to the show right now, and there's something in your life where you think to yourself, if I could only get out of my own way, I'm only stopping myself. Which is a way better mindset, at least, than if you always think and take the victimhood mindset and think that somebody else is stopping you. So if we go back and we analyze what type of mindset we're actually operating in, the one mindset that will keep you stuck forever is the victimhood mindset. No matter what it is in your life that you think that you can't do because somebody else is stopping you, your boss, your spouse, your disease, your whatever, you're giving power away. And the only way to break free from that is to take 100% responsibility and understand that it's up to you and you alone. Nothing outside of you is stopping you. That would be my message number one. But let's just assume for this podcast that you've already learned that. And I'm not saying just learn that when it's convenient. I'm saying the stuff that comes up when you really, really in your heart want to believe that somebody's stopping you. Stop that shit and take the power back. So let's assume that you do that. And now you understand that it's you holding you back. Now you have a little bit more awareness. You are holding you back from the thing that you want most, whether it be fitness, whether it be the $1 million, whether it be whatever it is. This is where this right here is what's stopping you. It's your limiting beliefs that you have that's acting as the big obstacle right in front of you. And these limiting beliefs show up as stories. Some bullshit stories about your past that keeps you from taking action now. Somebody will call me up on the phone, or if I'm working with a client, or if I'm just speaking to somebody in conversation, they want to go back in time and figure out why they are, and then they're going to create a story around that May or may not be true. It might be true. It might not be true. But then they're going to use that story as justification for why they can't do the thing they actually want to do. So the big thing that I'm going to talk to you about today and on the show in the next 5 minutes is the faulty thought process that what happened to you in the past is affecting your future. That's linear thinking in terms of time. You're thinking that your past equals your future. You're thinking about time from the perspective of past, present, future. And this is one of the hard things with psychotherapy. I'm not telling you that psychotherapy is bullshit. I don't know. I don't really do therapy. I know it's helped a tremendous amount of people. I know that it's good for people in certain situations, but here's the problem that I see over and over again that's not in alignment with my thought process and my values. People want to go back and do the work, which is great. You have to have awareness about yourself. You have to understand yourself. So you go back and you start digging up skeletons in your closet. You go back and you start thinking about your childhood. You go back and you start digging up all this stuff in your past. And then you find the thing that you think makes you the way you are. And again, it might be true, it might be false. Only you know. And maybe you don't know. And it doesn't really matter. But then you create this story. You create this story, and the story shows up in a limiting belief. But the problem with this story is it keeps you stuck. It keeps you from taking the action that you need to take today. And it keeps you stuck because you go back and you find these stories and you uncover these stories about when you failed at this, or you tried this in the past and it didn't work, or every time you do X that Y happens, and you start creating this cause and effect in all these different stories. And it sticks with you. So then when we try to figure out why you're stuck, you want to go back and explain why you're stuck. So you're explaining and arguing for your limitations instead of arguing for your possibilities. You see, the people who actually make it are not a lot different than you. And this is one of my biggest revelations. This is one of the things that I've talked about on previous shows. But this right here is fucking gold if you literally can rewind and re-listen until you understand. Maybe you have to re-listen to this 1,000 times until it smacks you in the face. Maybe you can get it on the first try. It's not complicated. But the thing is the people you look up to most, the people who have written books, the people who are great artists, the people who are up there singing on stage, the people who have a better body, the people who are fucking doing it, have one attribute that you don't have. And the thing that they do is they take action now. Despite their feelings, despite their stories, they keep trying. They keep trying. Henry Ford, Thomas Edison, Andrew Carnegie, they never got caught up in the failures and the fucking stories. The same is true with the visionaries today. Elon Musk, doesn't matter. The doers are the people who take action every single day, despite their feelings. They understand that because in high school they did this and it didn't work and they quit, that doesn't mean that they're going to quit when they're 25, 35, 45, 55 years old. It has really no relevance whatsoever to the story because they take what you would consider a failure and a story, and to them they learn from it. But the magic is this: they still have thoughts of doubt. They still doubt. They still have resistance. Sometimes they still don't think they're smart enough. Sometimes they still don't think they're pretty enough. Sometimes they don't think they're strong enough. Sometimes I don't think I'm smart enough. I have the same stuff. I have the same stories. I hear the same motherfucking whispers. The difference is you get paralyzed by them. Other people move forward, regardless. You want to go back and analyze and recreate stories, and you want to figure out why you are, and then you want to use that story as reason to why you can't do anything moving forward. If I go back, if somebody that I really, really look up to, who I think is successful, goes back to their failure, they don't box it up like that. If they box it up at all, it's to open that shit up, take the learning lesson, and move forward. But the one thing that's holding you back right now is your inability to move forward. Move fucking forward. It doesn't need to be a huge leap. It can be baby steps. But the magic happens when you just stack daily improvement on daily improvement on daily improvement. And I'm not meaning for this podcast episode to be some motivational speech. I'm just tired of seeing people get stuck by the stories of their past and using those stories as a reason to why they doubt their future. So many times I hear people tell me about the story of them quitting or them trying something, or in junior high, they tried out for the basketball team and then they quit, and then they quit this and then they quit that, and then they think that they're just a quitter. What I'm trying to tell you is take the learning lessons, and that has no relevance to what you're going to do today and tomorrow, unless you let it, unless you give it that power. All you have to do is take action. All you have to do is take action. When the resistance comes up, you take action. When the thought that you're not smart enough comes up, you take action. When the thought that you can't do it, you take action. You keep your eye on the target. When that doubt comes up, the only way to get out of that doubt is you take action. When that fear comes up, you take action. You just keep moving. So many athletes across the world was probably better athletes than me growing up. I think that I made it to the NFL. I played tight end for 3.5 years. Every team on active roster on average has 3 tight ends on the roster, sometimes 2, sometimes 4. 30 teams, 30 tight ends. I had to be in the top 90 in the world. Top 90 in the fucking world to be on that roster. Meanwhile, I was never all-state. I didn't even play high school football. I wasn't a star in high school. There was thousands of kids who were 5-star, 4-star recruits, big-time athletes. Every single year when I played at the University of Utah, there would be new wide receivers come in that were highly recruited, highly talented. And the thing that separated me from them is I just kept fucking moving. I just kept going forward. I never got stuck. When I did get stuck, I ended up getting cut in my NFL career. Because I don't know what I know now. Which brings me right back to the whole point of this story. I can go back to so many stories. Our brain wants to remind us of the negative shit. It wants us to go back and think about the times we failed. And like I said, box that up, bottle it up, and use that as reasons to why we can't move forward. And it comes up in sentences and language patterns like, I always do this. If you think about how many times you've actually succeeded, and you really think about it, you've succeeded at so many things, but it's actually really hard to remember. It's hard for me to remember. I go through a visualization technique every single day where I literally am looking at a big movie screen, eyes shut, and I'm trying to capture the moments that I'm most proud of in my life. And it would spin your head if you understood how many times like I have to control my thoughts because my brain wants me to think about the actual times that I failed, the actual failures, my not so proud moments. Those things are burned into us. They're burned into me, they're burned into you. It's natural for us to think about those things. The difference is you are either going to control yourself or you're going to let those stories control you. It doesn't matter what you think about the fucking story. What matters is that you don't let the story affect the next 10, 15, 20, 40, or 50 fucking years. You're in control. The difference between you, the difference between me, and the difference between the people who are world shakers, the people you look up to, is they have the same fucking stories. They don't listen. They step forward. You stay stuck. Take the control back. Understand when this shit comes up. When it comes up, I want you to think about this podcast and think about one thing. Make the move today. Do not stay stuck in doubt and insecurity and fear. Whatever it is you want to do, move towards it. A little bit. Doesn't need to be a lot. When you feel stuck, move. If you do that one thing and you start stacking days after days after days, you're going to see a shift that's so massive. It's so simple, but so massive. You'll reach the goals, you'll reach the targets, and you'll stop letting those limiting beliefs and those limiting stories keep you a prisoner from living your best life.
Thank you so much for joining us for another amazing episode of The Show with John Madsen. The greatest compliment that you could give us is liking, loving, and sharing this episode with all of your friends. So please go to iTunes, leave us a 5-star rating and review, and then share it online with everyone that you know. Make sure to tag John as well. He loves to hear from listeners of the show. The links for all of his socials and iTunes are in the show notes. Also, if you'd like to engage John for anything related to his coaching, consulting, or programs, please visit johnmadsen.com for everything you'd need to know on how to engage with John offline. And lastly, thank you for your time, your attention, and your consideration. This is The Show.